Abel Tesfaye, aka The Weeknd, made a huge splash in the world of pop music. Armed with a Basquiat-style hairdo and utter melancholy against minimalist beats, The Weeknd takes the usual topics of sex, drugs, and rock and roll and filters it through a raw and honest reflection of himself, at times revealing both a false bravado and the swagger of an enigmatic sex god. The Weeknd is a gifted vocalist who has a clear vision for his music. To me, The Weeknd is a prog rocker born in the wrong era. His debut mixtapes, House of Balloons, Thursday, and Echoes of Silence, were a surefire sign of a burgeoning talent, as he was fighting homelessness at the time of those recordings. Those mixtapes would later be repackaged by his record label, XO, through Republic Records as Trilogy, but without any of the prominent samples. Then he got with legendary pop songwriter Max Martin as his career shot up to the stratosphere. Starting with Can't Feel My Face, we see a guy wrestle with his inner demons, but with a fun backbeat. The Weeknd also got the chance to collaborate with Daft Punk before they broke up, producing some of his best material. Then his magnum opus drops. In 2019, The Weeknd dropped Blinding Lights, a song that would become the definitive song of his career. I'm just gonna say it, this song and the album After Hours fucking rules. Blinding Lights is the best 80s song to not be released in the 80s. However, the pandemic hit the moment After Hours dropped, which actually became advantageous to The Weeknd, as every entertainer was cooped up in their mansions, not looking to release any new material until it was safe to do so. Blinding Lights was the longest charting single from any artist on the Billboard Hot 100 from 2019 to 2021 at 90 weeks, until this lily white trust fund baby bullshit surpassed it on October 17, 2022, making it 91 weeks on Billboard's Hot 100 chart. Billboard named Blinding Lights an all-time great #1 single, knocking Chubby Checkers the Twist out of its top spot. The Weeknd also had an all-time great Super Bowl halftime show in 2021, which cemented him as a superstar. As of 2022, Blinding Lights dethroned Ed Sheeran's Shape of You as the most streamed song on Spotify. So what's next? You shatter records with one song, and you create a visually stunning and ambitious halftime show under strict pandemic limitations. It's time to become an actor! But who would help him get to that point? Enter Sam Levinson, a man who used his teenage drug use as a backdrop to create Euphoria, a show that immediately captured the zeitgeist of Gen Z life. Levinson, the son of legendary writer and director Barry Levinson, rose to prominence with Assassination Nation, a critically acclaimed film that helped him land the aforementioned Euphoria. Based on an Israeli TV show, Euphoria gave the world compelling characters who go through actual problems. Euphoria Season 1 and the pandemic episodes are a part of my perfect seasons of television, where every episode is a 10 out of 10. I can count on my hands the number of perfect seasons of television I have. Euphoria was a show wherein I loved it so much, I recommended it to my high school teacher brother. Then Malcolm and Marie dropped. Malcolm and Marie was Sam Levinson pretending to be a black guy yelling at his fantasy girlfriend Zendaya about negative critical reviews for Assassination Nation and Euphoria. It just reeked of a man with no real problems in his life. You're the son of Barry Levinson. Be fucking grateful you got to make a movie during the height of the pandemic with John David Washington and Zendaya actually giving a shit. Don't get me wrong, it's a well-made movie despite its pandemic limitations, but it's the textbook definition of style over substance. The film received mixed reviews, but Euphoria Season 2 was right on the way. Surely it's going to be just as great as the first season, right? Right? Then Season 2 of Euphoria happened. The first 3 episodes, and the episode Stand Still Like a Hummingbird, continued its A+ streak. Seriously, I want a spin-off show on Fesco's grandma. After those episodes, it just evolved into interesting plot threads being dropped, a high school play that has the production value of something on Broadway, and this walking Apple product placement douche canoe that single-handedly created the show. Then he got with The Weeknd, and The Idol happened.
Wait, is this fucking play about us?
Yes, this fucking play is about Sam Levinson and The Weeknd. When The Idol was announced with A24 backing this, I was on board immediately. The Idol debuted at Cannes to the less than stellar reception. Prior to The Idol's debut at Cannes, Rolling Stone wrote an expose about the behind-the-scenes drama and controversy surrounding this show. The Weeknd took to Twitter and released a clip from The Idol that trashed Rolling Stone to their face. Things were already not looking good for The Idol. But I'd be a total hypocrite given I just trashed film critics going into a movie with their minds made up to not give this show a chance. I went into The Idol with a very open mind, given I actually like both The Weeknd and Sam Levinson. Like The Weeknd, Sam Levinson was a massive drug addict in his teens. You would figure that these would be two great tastes that taste great together.
Sorry, I'm not fucking catch you looking at it. I'll fucking drag you down, Rodeo, while your fucking ass was fucking...
Stick a fork in Sam Levinson. He's fucking done. Yeah, the show isn't as good as it thinks it is. In fact, it reminded me of another controversial vanity project, a film conceived by legendary exploitation filmmaker Russ Meyer and one Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. The film was Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, a film that also deals in the darker side of pop stardom that was conceived by a celebrity with filmmaking connections. Much like Hop and a Half, I haven't seen this film in decades. It would usually play at midnight as a teenager, and I've only seen bits and pieces of it. You can guess what bits and pieces I was drawn to. But man, I should have impulse bought this Criterion Blu-ray years ago. Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is good, actually. Unlike people on Twitter trying to convince you that Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is actually a secret masterpiece for algorithmic and SEO reasons. The Idol and Beyond the Valley of the Dolls are both fascinating in their own way. The Idol is a train wreck that you cannot look away from. Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is Roger Ebert just blowing off steam with the director of Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. But one thing about Roger Ebert is that he was always kind of a horn dog. Prior to Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, Ebert famously championed Russ Meyer's films when no one else would. He also famously devoted 2 whole paragraphs to talk about how hot Thandaway Newton was in his 1-star review for Besieged. So what do we know about the central characters of both The Idol and Beyond the Valley of the Dolls? Jocelyn, played by Lily Rose Depp, is a Britney Spears-type pop princess who was going through a nervous breakdown after losing her mom, who is desperate to reinvent herself as a sex kitten. Tedros, played by Abel Tesfaye, because The Weeknd is a serious actor now, is a club owner who has a Svengali-like following. In Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, Kelly sings and plays guitar in a rock band called The Kelly Affair, and gets invited to a party through her rich aunt hosted by Z-Man, a Svengali hotshit music producer who is basically Phil Spector, in more ways than one. Z-Man gives the Kelly Affair an opportunity to perform. They immediately change their name to the Carrie Nations at the request of Z-Man and get caught up in the world of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So what can an exploitation filmmaker and a respected film critic teach a pop superstar and a guy who is now on the verge of cancellation? Be original. The trailer for Beyond the Valley of the Dolls shows no clips whatsoever, but rather has a guy teasing you about missing out on all the hot girls you will see in this film, along with stills from the film. You know, I should recreate this trailer as a photographer. The Idol's trailer, on the other hand, just straight up shows the entire TV show in a minute. Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is not marketed as a sequel of Valley of the Dolls, but rather its own thing. A satire of the tropes of the melodramas of the time. However, it is a film that is somewhat progressive for its time, as the 3 central characters in the Carrie Nations all have agency, make their own decisions, and features Casey, a bisexual character in a time where homosexuality was still seen as somewhat taboo, played by Toledo's own Cynthia Myers, who, fun fact, also graduated from the same high school I went to. The crux of the pilot episode of The Idol is Jocelyn's people trying to control the narrative of a photo of her with, well, semen on her face, leaking onto the internet. Straight away, she has no agency of her own. We see Jocelyn essentially doing a Playboy spread disguised as promo shots for her album, but with her handlers telling you what the show is about. Imagine Jocelyn's team taking over the opening scene of The Neon Demon, and you have the exact same thing.
She's young, beautiful, and damaged.
And not damaged. She had problems that she overcame beautifully.
I get it, Sam and Abel. You both love The Neon Demon. Right down to casting the Neon Demon's Carl Glusman as Jocelyn's voice of reason ex-boyfriend in episode 4 that gets pushed aside. Me too, as that was my favorite film of 2016. You want to know what the difference between The Idol and The Neon Demon is? Nicholas Winding Refn co-wrote The Neon Demon with women. The cinematographer was a woman. Look no further, as it was revealed that Sam Levinson directed The Weeknd to, quote, strangle Jocelyn and then ejaculate inside her without her consent, unquote, for a scene that ultimately ended up on the cutting room floor for episode 4. All while laughing, by the way. I need to get serious for a second. As a photographer, I do what are called group shoots, wherein models of all skill levels network with photographers of all skill levels and exchange pictures and marketing for their time. A common term used is GWC, which is code for guy with a camera. A guy with a camera is just there with a camera in his hand as an excuse to get women naked. In Ohio, there was a man who, during these photo shoots, and his own photo shoots, raped models and put them in both physically and emotionally compromising positions. He only served 6 months in prison, when it should have been a whole hell of a lot more. The behavior Sam Levinson exhibited in the name of a deleted scene reminded me of that asshole. If this were true, and if I were Lily Rose Depp, I'd be getting on the phone with Daddy's attorneys and destroying Sam Levinson's career, because that is unacceptable. Anyway, in Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, Kelly is a nepo baby, sure, but she is the one to book the gig with Z-Man, not her manager boyfriend, thus making Z-Man the Carrie Nation's new manager. So what is the solution for Jocelyn to control her own narrative? Enter Tedros, a shady nightclub owner who was basically Christian Grey and Jared Leto filtered through The Weeknd. After they talk about Donna Summer's Love to Love You and Princess When Doves Cry, he gets her to orgasm over her track called World Class Sinner. This show straight up wants you to think of The Weeknd as Prince, but I'd rather be watching Purple Rain, specifically the Lake Minnetonka scene, which is what this scene is trying to be. In Purple Rain, the kid isn't going to help Apollonia unless she purifies herself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. The playful banter between these two escalate, to the point that she jumps in topless. And then you get that legendary punchline.
That ain't Lake Minnetonka.
Prince is fucking Prince in this scene. He commands. This scene is who Tedros thinks he is. Here's the thing. If you are going to act in your vanity project, maybe learn how to fucking act. With Purple Rain, you could see the passion Prince had for this project. This was a personal project for him to do. The same guy who sang this
Never need a bitch, I'm what a bitch needs.
Is trying so hard and failing to be Prince when this should come naturally to him. With The Idol, it seems as if The Weeknd stopped at being the Black Christian Grey with the character of Tedros. Which goes back to Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, as the Carrie Nations are now famous, but gain a lot of problems. Jealous of their success, Kelly's boyfriend becomes paraplegic after a suicide attempt on live TV. Casey is trapped in Z-Man's house as Z-Man beheads a hog-tied man to the tune of the 20th Century Fox theme song. And drummer Pet ends up having an affair with a boxer who nearly kills her law student boyfriend in a fit of rage. The Idol thinks it's this show about the dark side of pop music, but it feels so surface level. We work our pop stars to death. They need to be told what to do. With an actual pop star co-creating the show, you would think it would get to the real nitty-gritty of the pop music scene. And it's just a glorified vanity project so The Weeknd can fuck Johnny Depp's daughter. Which reminds me, we need to talk about Amy Seimetz. One of the criticisms levied against the show was the fact that director Amy Seimetz was let go because The Weeknd thought it was getting too female-centric. This was the main topic discussed in that Rolling Stone expose. Yeah, that's a legitimate criticism, especially given one of the best episodes of the Euphoria is the second pandemic episode, Fuck Anyone Who Is Not a Steve Blob, which Hunter Schafer co-wrote with Levinson to give people a better perspective of the life of a trans woman. Instead of letting a female be a showrunner, Sam Levinson decided to step in. Because Sam Levinson needed to get more barefoot shots of Lily Rose Depp, damn it! Quentin Tarantino would tell you to calm down your foot fetish. Imagine Amy Seimetz directing episode 2, which had a good A-plot of Jocelyn working herself to exhaustion in the midst of a nervous breakdown. Only to have the song she worked on get sold to a backup dancer behind her back in episode 4. Someone like Seimetz could have given episode 2 depth. After the first half hour, Tedros shows up and kills the momentum of the commentary the show was trying to do just to be scumbag Christian Grey.
I wanna grab you by the ass while I suffocate you with my cock.
Cringe. There's no other word for it. This makes me cringe. It's embarrassing.
My issue with Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is how rushed the ending is. Z-Man is revealed to be a woman. Casey and her lesbian lover get brutally murdered by Z-Man. And oh, Parker can walk now after Casey dies. And oh, everyone is married now. But the difference between Roger Ebert and The Weeknd is that Ebert was a writer by trade. The chaos of the third act of Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is the point. The Weeknd, on the other hand, called in a favor of Sam Levinson because he played a pre-famed version of himself in Uncut Gems. But that doesn't compare to the finale of The Idol, Jocelyn Forever. HBO just gave us 2 genuinely great endings to both Succession and Barry, one after the other. 2 months later, I just witnessed one of the worst series finales I've ever seen in my life. Game of Thrones doesn't have to worry about having the worst series finale on HBO anymore. So the episode starts off as Jocelyn takes control of her narrative as she is getting ready for a tour. Again, this is a solid A-plot, as we see Jocelyn pitch her tour to her handlers, and Tedros is trying and failing to reclaim the narrative. Hank Azaria's Kime, who is basically a live-action Simpsons character, is looking to buy off Tedros to stay out of Jocelyn's life. Eli Roth's Finkelstein, who I just want him to retire from directing to act more because he was easily the highlight of the show, is the Live Nation money behind this tour. For 20 solid minutes, we see The Weeknd's Leftovers being sung by his cult, which then leads to Xander, Jocelyn's creative director, covering My Sweet Lord, thus being the second worst use of a solo Beatles song cover featured in the show, behind only The Weeknd covering Jealous Guy immediately after hitting Jocelyn with the hairbrush her mom allegedly beat her with in the prior episode because he is in fact a jealous guy. They hype Xander up to be the greatest singer ever, only to have more auto-tune on his voice than T-Pain circa 2008. Except T-Pain just released a kick-ass covers album without auto-tune. Seriously, his cover of War Pigs is what The Weeknd's cover of Jealous Guy should have been. I was beyond disappointed to hear that cover of Jealous Guy, because I know The Weeknd could have crushed that. While we're on the subject of music, can we talk about how hard the soundtrack to Beyond the Valley of the Dolls slaps? Find It in Sweet Talking Candyman should have been classic rock radio staples. What makes Beyond the Valley of the Dolls work so well is that you believe the Carrie Nations are a successful band, and it shows off their origin story with the Kelly affair. You believe that Kelly, Casey, and Pet were longtime friends. What makes this better is the fact that Dolly Reed, Cynthia Myers, and Marsha McBroom had little to no acting experience prior to this film. Their chemistry as both friends and bandmates is absolutely impeccable. And these three performances are the heart of this film. In The Idol, we don't know enough about Jocelyn, aside from the fact that she has cum on her face and she hates her mother. Rachel Sennett, who is poised to be the next big thing in Hollywood, is so wasted as Jocelyn's friend Leia because I don't know what their friendship is like outside of her being Jocelyn's personal assistant. After 20 minutes of questionable singing and Jocelyn performing her big number to Finkelstein inexplicably barefoot, Kime basically writes a check to Tedros. Tedros tears up the check and we're led to believe that Kime has him killed. But that would make this show interesting. It was clearly meant to be a limited series, right? Right? 6 weeks later, because the show got cut down to 5 episodes, Jocelyn is doing Eras Tour numbers with her world tour. Tedros shows up to the stadium she is playing at and finds out that there's an artist's pass under his real name, Mauricio Jackson, because The Weeknd really wanted his character to be named Michael Jackson. You would think that this would go somewhere, especially given Divine Joy Randolph's excellent performance saying that she will kill Tedros if Jocelyn is her in any way. But nope, they're back together. The following contains spoilers from Succession. Watch that instead. And this show has the fucking gall to steal the most iconic shot from the Succession finale. Which brings us to the next thing I'd rather be watching. In Succession, Logan Roy dies on the day of Connor's wedding in one of the most powerful and suspenseful hours of television I've ever seen. Later on in the series finale, Roman and Kendall don't want to sell Waystar to Lucas Matson. However, the sale of Waystar is not going to be delayed due to Logan Roy's death. Shiv is the crucial vote. But guess who does want to sell? Their neoliberal sister Shiv makes the call to sell the company, with one of the final shots being her and Tom's hands interlocked together. Meanwhile, Jocelyn Gone Girls Tedros by revealing that she was never abused because The Weeknd co-created the show and he has to look innocent to sell records. Do you know how fucking insulting this is? To decide in the 11th hour to make Jocelyn a villain and Tedros the good guy? Yeah, no. This moment is completely unearned. The show implicitly wants you to sympathize with Jocelyn, only to end on bitches be trippin'. What the Idol should take away from Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is that if you're going to do an exploitation film, at the very least have some originality. Experiment and try new things. And don't remind me of things that I'd rather be watching. Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is a genuinely well-edited movie. Seriously, that opening scene of the Scream to the Kelly affair performing is next-level genius commentary on the entertainment industry. That 3-second Scream transition at the beginning of the film says more about the dark side of pop music than The Idol did in 5 episodes. Russ Meyer knows how to capture beautiful women without it veering into hardcore pornography territory. Also, Beyond the Valley of the Dolls has its tongue firmly in cheek, while acknowledging the dangers of fame. The Idol, on the other hand, wants you to take it dead serious, with The Weeknd front and center trying so hard and failing to be the kid from Purple Rain. Delaying this video due to life reasons made me realize why I love Beyond the Valley of the Dolls and didn't like The Idol. Ebert and Meyer treated their women like flesh and blood human beings, warts and all. In his defense of Russ Meyer, Ebert wrote of him, "If there are mindless sex objects in a Russ Meyer film, they are invariably men. With The Idol, it's the other way around. When your main character is dubbed, quote, the human cum sock, unquote, there is nowhere else to go but down. Jocelyn taking back her narrative rings hollow when you have her run back to Tedros. What's frustrating is that you could see what the show could have been if Amy Seimetz had been the showrunner. There are glimmers of a great show here. Hashtag release the Seimetz cut. I view this in the same way I view Blonde, wherein Lily Rose Depp is giving 100% to this project that is just downright gross. Did we really need another season of this? Because the show had a clear beginning, middle, and end. Hell, The Weeknd doesn't even want to be The Weeknd anymore. I hope Sam Levinson spent his Euphoria money wisely, because I don't see him recovering from this. Russ Meyer and Roger Ebert would collaborate on other projects, including Ebert receiving a story credit for Meyer's Up. Ebert would also write Beneath the Valley of the Ultra Vixens, which he wrote under a pseudonym as he had recently become the first Pulitzer Prize winner for film criticism, and most interestingly, a film that never came into fruition, Who Killed Bambi, which was basically a punk rock version of A Hard Day's Night with the Sex Pistols, distributed by 20th Century Fox, written by both Ebert and Sex Pistols manager Malcolm McLaren. The film was killed by Princess Grace of Monaco, who still sat on the board of 20th Century Fox, and Malcolm McLaren's erratic behavior on set. As for Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, Russ Meyer and Roger Ebert can rest easy knowing that they created a subversive cult classic that is loved by film aficionados and is inducted into the Criterion Collection. Be sure to like, comment,
and we gave you the power of the elemental Patrick Swayze, but it's clear you have more to say about the Super Mario Brothers movie.
You're right. 1 video a month, 2 to 3 minute long reviews, minimal editing.
Okay,